with a new year comes a brand new round of HHN speculation. With all that being said, let's roll right into it. Don't say anything about my beard in the comments. I know you want to. Don't do it. Sentimental reasons? Gone. But let's get on with the HHN speculation. It's going to be a little bit different, but you'll catch on right away. Okay, so when I said it was going to be a little bit different, what I meant is I'm not going to tell you all the things I think are going to be at the event this year. No. I'm going to tell you a couple of different things / scenarios that can occur that I think will be cool to see. Meaning I'll give you some things like Netflix, things that are releasing in 2022, and some brand new locations that can be coming to the event. So, with all that being said, let's move forward to the first thing that I said there, Netflix. Netflix had this very, very, very popular show. Not show, it was like a movie, TV series kind of thing. 3 episodes. You guessed it, Fear Street. Fear Street was loved by the horror community, and Netflix noticed right away. They told themselves, we're going to make more of these, and we're just going to keep making them and keep making them because people love their horror. Continuing the trend with Netflix, the next thing we can talk about is a sequel of sorts to what we had last year, which is The Haunting of Hill House. We can have The Haunting of Bly Manor. Now, I, for one, am not a huge fan of Bly Manor. I don't think it's as scary as Hill House is, which I thought Hill House was a fantastic house. It was gorgeous. It was everything you wanted from the movie in a house. However, nah, I don't want Bly Manor, but the possibility is on the table. And finally, my third item from Netflix that I will tell you guys, a long shot, but not so much of a long shot because we've had it in the past, Stranger Things 4. We have the 4th season of Stranger Things releasing this year, meaning the possibility of us having a Stranger Things 4 haunted house is there. The 2 years we've had this at the event, it's done numbers. I mean, the line is always 100+ minute wait. Granted, the second one wasn't as good as the first one, however, the waits were still there. People were still going to see these houses, meaning that there's something out there for people that want to see this house. There's a possibility for that. And that'll round off our Netflix portion. Do you guys have any recommended things for Netflix? Comment it down below and we can discuss it a little bit down in the chat. Let's move forward to the next thing. Up next, we're going to be discussing the 2022 horror releases and or slasher icons, which is what I coined these 3 next things that I want to say. The first one will be a Halloween movie of sorts, meaning either Halloween 5, Halloween 3, or Halloween, all 3 of them, meaning Kills, Ends, and 2018. Why do I see this happening? Well, every 2 years, it sounds like a running joke for me, but since I've started speculating, this is a fact. Every 2 years, we have a Halloween house. 24, 26, 28. Now 30, we should have had one. We should have. But we know what happened there. Anyways, the possibility of it coming to 31 being the marquee number for Halloween, it would make the most sense. So, either one of the Halloween franchise movies. Next, we have something that almost made it to HHN back in 2015, which is Scream. Scream is getting revitalized next year in a brand new movie, and I feel as if it's the perfect opportunity to bring Ghostface to the limelight at Halloween Horror Nights, at least in Orlando, because he's never been featured in Orlando. So I'd love to see Ghostface. This is just a personal, I really want this, and I'm pretty sure you guys do as well. And finally, to round off this list of 3 horror icons / 2022 releases, we have Child's Play and or Chucky. Now, Chucky had his show in 2021, meaning the sequel should be releasing this year. Season 2, which got announced, I'm pretty sure it is for 2022. If it's not, I apologize, but you guys should know this. Speculation, it's so much fun. Now, the Chucky Scare Zone back in 2018 won Scare Zone of the Year, and a lot of people love Chucky, loved him so much that we had a photo op with him last year, and it was pretty cool to see. It was different, but Who knows? Those are my 3 things for Slasher Icon / 2022 releases. What do you guys think? Is there anything releasing next year that you think can come to the event? Or maybe another Slasher Icon that can really buff up the lineup? Next on the list, we can thank a little guy named Beetlejuice for this one, Warner Brothers. Now, Warner Brothers gets thrown around every year. A different Warner Brothers property can come to the event. Last year, it finally happened, and we got Beetlejuice. I'm not going to say it again because he's going to show up somewhere, and I can't afford that right now. Anyways, the 3 properties that I think should come that are from Warner Brothers are, first, Gremlins. Why Gremlins? Because I feel like it is that perfect horror comedy that can tie perfectly into the event. We've been having a horror comedy house the past few years, and it just makes sense to have it. We've had Ghostbusters, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. We had just recently, last year, right over my brain, you see this? I can't even remember. But anyways, you get the idea. We've had so many horror comedy houses that it just makes sense for us to have Gremlins, which is the perfect mix of Christmas, Halloween, together, spookiness, vibes. Gremlins will be amazing. Throw puppets in there and it'll be fantastic. Going off a ledge here and going to the next Warner Brothers property, we have 13 Ghosts. Now, 13 Ghosts is more of a personal thing here. It's something I really want at the event. I would love to see this. It's perfect. And if they want to keep the plexiglass that they had last year, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but if they want to keep it, this is the perfect house for it. For the fact that they've talked about plexiglass in the movie itself. And you have 13 different creatures to base your movie off of, like the whole house off of. There's 13 different ghosts. It's just, I want to see the Jackal so bad. You don't understand. And finally, the last thing I have here for Warner Brothers is one of the big 2. You guys know the other one, so I don't have to mention it. But The Conjuring. I really think we can finally get the Conjuring universe. Now, I don't think it can happen. There's probably the thing on the list that I think is least likely to occur. But it's here, just so you guys know that it's here. There's a potential of it happening. Thanks to what occurred last year, this has a chance. I just feel like all the filmography and everything put together in one haunted house would be phenomenal. This would be a great house. Listen, Universal, Creative, hit me up if you need someone to make a concept for it. I'm known for making a concept or 2 if you guys want to check out my thriller one right there. So I'm just saying, hit my line. But for now, let's move on to the next topic. Now, along with our comedy houses or our brand new release houses, we always seem to have our Throwback IP house. And these are the 3 houses that I think can fit this mold the best. First, we have John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, I know what you're saying in the comments or in your head before you even think about commenting. John Carpenter's The Thing's already been at Horror Nights. No, it has not. We have had The Thing Assimilation and then The Thing Reboot, both at Horror Nights. However, we have not had The Thing, the original Thing, at Horror Nights. And I feel like this is going to be a perfect way to portray this. I just want to see it. I've never been able to experience anything with The Thing, so I kind of want to see this thing happen. I said thing a lot there. Anyways, let's go to the next Throwback IP that I think would be awesome to see. Something that I think will be phenomenal is the Evil Dead trilogy. Now, it's kind of iffy. A lot of people don't like the entire trilogy. A lot of people just like the first one, they really like the second one, and they just think the third one's okay. Me, on the other hand, I love all 3 of these movies equally. I feel like if I could see all 3 of these portrayed, it would be great. In the first one, you have that true aspect of horror. And the second one is just straight comedy. And the third one, it's more of an action film with a little bit of comedy and horror thrown in. So I feel like all 3 of these combined into one house would just be phenomenal. And we've never had it. We've had Evil Dead from the remake back in 2013, and we had Ash vs. Evil Dead back in 2017. This is the perfect opportunity to have all 3 of them put into one house. Now, there's not an anniversary for it next year. However, we've seen things show up on non-anniversary years of themselves. And finally, the third and final house that I would like to see as a throwback IP would be Nightmare on Elm Street 3. We've seen Nightmare on Elm Street. we've seen Freddy vs. Jason. I would love to see one of the individual Freddy films get its own house. And Dream Warriors could probably be one of the best ones. I mean, everything about that movie is just phenomenal. It's one of the best, if not the best, Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Now, my favorite is not that one. That is definitely my second or third favorite. My favorite being New Nightmare. However, I feel like New Nightmare is not old enough yet to be a throwback IP for us. That's why I said this movie. But I would love to see New Nightmare. But I'm just saying, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 would be a great Horror Nights house, and it's a recognizable horror icon that people love. Let's move on to the next topic. So you got your throwback IP checked off. You got your comedy house checked off. You have everything else you want checked off. Or do you? Next we have Universal Monsters. Now, we've had a Universal Monsters house going back to 2019. And then we had one in 2021. Yeah, 29 and 30. You get my drift. Anyways, in Universal Monsters in 2019, it was a showcase of all the monsters. Universal Monsters in 2021, mouthful, we had The Bride of Frankenstein Lives, which featured the Bride of Frankenstein and all of Dracula's brides, along with the bride's henchman, well, hench lady, hench person, best way to say it. So, here's my little pitch. Of course, 3 more coming your way. First, I'm just going to take something from Hollywood, because why not? Frankenstein is revived, so therefore, we can have Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Now, this would probably be my least wanted house here, if I'm being honest. Hollywood did a great job with it. If you guys want to go watch a POV, I'll link it down below. It's a really good house, really solid. But I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now let's talk about 2 horror classic monsters that I would die to see in their standalone house or a versus house. But I'd love it to be standalone. First, shout out to my boy Connor FL. If you know Connor, you know this is the Invisible Man. Now, the Invisible Man has not been in any house in Orlando. It has not been in Universal Monsters, and it was definitely not in The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. Makes me believe, why not have the Invisible Man in its own house? Now, I think it could do something with the IP, the fact that they made a movie with Blumhouse. Maybe that's the reason, contractual reasons why we can't have it, but who knows? It's just something I would like to see, and I know my boy Connor would love to see it, so why not? And finally, the monster I would love to have his own house or their own house would be the creature from the Black Lagoon. In the Universal Monsters house, I loved the scenery we had for that one room for Creature. It was amazing. Gilman was full-fleshed, and he was there. It was fantastic. But I know that our friends over in Hollywood have been dying for a Creature from the Black Lagoon house. Well, maze for them, but house for us. So why not make it happen so it can be dual coast, and we can both have Creature from the Black Lagoon? I'm just saying, why not? And just for fun, I'll give you guys one more because the Frankenstein meets the Wolfman was just there. Give us a Phantom of the Opera house. Yeah, Phantom of the Opera. Now, let's keep churning, because we're no longer doing IP, as you can tell we're churning. We're gonna go 100% original. Let's get into it. Now, I will be 100% honest with you guys. Originals is the hardest thing to speculate. Like, the hardest thing to speculate. But, let's do it. I feel like we're gonna get a new icon or a returning icon. I feel like it could either be Cindy, Eddie, Boris. Jack's not coming back next year, unless they make him. So one of the icons might return. I feel like Icons was such a loved house. Everyone enjoyed that house. So maybe Icons will be a pivotal point for us Horror Nights as fans. Next, we have the return of the Body Collectors. I think it's finally time for them to return. It was one of my favorite houses back in 2015. A lot of people really loved them. They were a little distraught when they were left out of the Gorewood Forest, but their cart was there. Who knows, maybe that was an Easter egg to us potentially getting body collectors next year. And finally, I just always want this again. I know people hate them with a passion. The last one we had was terrible, and I will agree. 3D house. And just to make it super fun, HR Blood and Guts gets a 3D house. Why HR Blood and Guts? Well, HR Blood and Guts was the best scene in Scary. And if we're going off the same mental path that we did for Slaughter Cinema, where Slaughter Cinema did so well that one of their individual scenes became a full-fledged house, why can't the same thing happen for Scary, in which we take the best scene in that house and put it in its own house and make it HR Blood and Guts in 3D? I'm just saying, it writes itself. And now finally we will go to the last leg of the video and my speculation. This is new locations for certain things. So buckle up. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. We are losing two very important things next year. One of them is for sure already scheduled to be demolished. The other, I'm not 100% sure if it is or isn't. But we're losing Shrek location potentially, and we're losing the Fear Factor Live stage show location potentially. Two things we might be losing. So in the thought process, let's say, oh no, we lost both of them. Here's some speculation for you guys of what we can get out of losing these two. First and foremost, if you guys went to Universal at all during this past December holiday season, you saw that Grinchmas was in a brand new location, and that was the Aquos Theater. Aquos Theater, if you guys don't know, is the Blue Man Group Theater. That is not occupied by the Blue Man Group anymore, it is wide open. So granted, if nothing gets put in there between now and Horror Nights, they can put another Horror Nights show in there, meaning it'll crowd guzzle. It'll just eat the crowd off the site. And there's a lot more seats in there than there is in the Fear Factor Live stage show, meaning more people can watch a show while you go do a haunted house. Come on! Who wouldn't want that? And the seating's a lot more comfortable. Next, we have the potential of a 6th scare zone. Don't quote me on it, but with Fear Factor being knocked out, we have a house in the back that's near Men in Black and Fear Factor. Right in front of it, we have a huge area in World Expo that can be either used for a roaming horde, similar to what we had in the past few years with Simpsons, that you can just get moved there, or it can be turned into a scare zone, which it wouldn't be as detailed as other scare zones, but it would be pretty cool to see. So that's just my pitch for a scare zone / roaming horde in World Expo. And finally, what I think they were really trying to push this year, the potential of having 5 haunted houses in the sound stages. I feel like this year was a test for art and design. They wanted to see how many houses they can utilize in the back. So they used 2 that were dual run houses, so that means 24 and 23, leaving the opportunity to have 25 open, 20, 19. I mean, we can have up to 6 houses back there, but I know that's like a crowd, like, mentally like, no, God, no. But I can literally see there being 5 houses back there this year, if Shrek is gone. If Shrek's still there, leave it to 4, and then everything will be normal. But if the Shrek Theater is gone, I think we're going to have 5 houses back by the soundstage area. Maybe a new Sprung tent, but I don't really see a new Sprung tent coming into play. Everyone always jokes around about Cafe La Bamba. I don't think we're going to be doing La Bamba. But anyways, that is just my HHN speculation. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below some of your speculations. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys for a fantastic 2021. Now we're on to 2022. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see all of you guys at the park this year. And, you know, let's just have a fun year. Like, comment, subscribe, and finally, stay excellent, my dudes.